Matt Rhule just revealed what Nebraska's transfer portal strategy will be this year. Not only what positions we're going after, but how much money we're willing to spend. So in today's video, I'm going to give you my instant reaction. What exactly did he say? Is it valid? Is it not? And everything else you need to know. Along with Nebraska's newest starter on defense. He just earned a black shirt yesterday on the defensive line. We'll talk about who that is. My updated expectations versus the Spartans. Why I think it's going to be a closer game than what most people are giving it credit for. A huge change coming to the secondary tomorrow. And last but not least, we'll have an honest conversation around Nebraska's offensive line. And in particular, Elijah Pritchett and what his role should be going forward. So hey, if you're excited about hopefully getting a victory tomorrow, I know I am, hit that like button. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? We have the best family on Husker YouTube of over 13,000 strong. And this is the only place on Husker YouTube. You get daily content talking Nebraska, talking your favorite team. It's no brainer, takes 2 seconds. Join this family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. I want to get things started with something very interesting that Matt Rhule just revealed on his podcast, House Rules. He was asked in the transfer portal, what positions are the most important for the Huskers going forward? And in particular, what positions is he willing to spend the most money on? And he ranked them 1 to 7, 1 being the most important, 7 being the least important. And it was very shocking to me. Now, let's just go in order what Matt Rhule said, going from most important to least important. Number 1, he said the most important position in the transfer portal is quarterback. And obviously in Nebraska, we don't need a quarterback next year in the portal, but going forward, for most teams, yes, it's about getting a quarterback. That's the position they're going to spend the most money on, if needed, right? So that shouldn't be a shocker. That's, the same with every single program in the country. Quarterback is obviously the most important. That's where they're going to make the big bucks. Okay, from here it gets interesting. He said the second most important position in the portal and the second most important position when it comes to money that they're going to pay a lot for is offensive tackle. And I have a lot of thoughts about that. Not necessarily because I disagree. I completely agree that offensive tackle is the second most important position from a money standpoint. However, my thing to Matt Rhule is, where was that mindset last year? Because Nebraska, we only got one offensive tackle in the transfer portal, and it was Elijah Pritchett, who had a lot of question marks, and we paid him $1 million. However, when it came to a couple other big-time tackles that we were in the mix for, whether it was a Falili Famoa, an Isaiah World, a Shiaz Pete, we didn't outbid some top schools to land them. So my question to Matt Rhule, I agree with him that offensive tackle is second most important. Did he change his mindset? Last year, did he not think that offensive tackle was important and changed his tune? Or did he always have that opinion but still wasn't willing to spend the money? Because I thought that was really interesting with Nebraska's strategy from last year, because we only got 2 offensive linemen, period, and yet we got 3 wide receivers. We almost got 4 wide receivers. Doesn't really make too much sense, but I agree with him now that offensive tackle is second and most important. He said that the third most important position from a money standpoint is the pass rusher spot, whether it's a jack, whether it's a linebacker, or a 3 technique. And once again, I agree with him. You need to have a solid pass rusher who can win one-on-ones, can win double teams. But very similarly, where was that mindset last year, right? I mean, Williams is a pass rusher. He's done a good job this year. To Samakola, he's been fine. I believe he only has 2 sacks, though, on the year. So, listen, very similarly, we didn't get some high-profile pass rushers. We got some decent ones, right? We didn't get any elites just yet. Williams couldn't be elite. Desan could be elite, but they're not there. And we let, some of our best pass rushers leave, whether it was a Jamari Butler. And I know Jamari Butler isn't doing much at LSU, but we could have gave him the exact amount of money that LSU did. And we didn't, right? James Williams left. And not James Williams isn't very good, but still, right? He's a very solid pass rusher, not necessarily a run stopper. So, again, it's all about kind of putting your money where your mouth is. Yes, offensive tackle and pass rusher, I agree they're important. But have we really backed it up in the past 2 years? I don't know. But maybe he changed his mind. Maybe that's what I kind of want clarification for. And then here's where it kind of gets really interesting. Fourth most important position is a shutdown corner. Okay. Fifth most important position from a money standpoint, again, this is all money, by the way, dominant wide receiver. Okay. And 6th is running back. 7th is defensive tackle, and that was all he ranked. He did not mention linebacker. He did not mention tight end. He did not mention safety. He did not mention kicker or punter. I definitely have some comments. It's interesting that he ranked running back on the scale at 6 over defensive tackle, over, again, linebacker, over safety, when we didn't take a running back in the portal. So how can you say that the running back is more important than the defensive tackle when you took multiple defensive tackles but you didn't take a running back, and you weren't willing to spend any money on a running back, right? Like, we only spent $300K on Emmett. He could have got paid a lot more at a bunch of other programs. We could have, got Shamar Brown if we were willing to pay him. Just it wasn't in the millions. It wasn't really a big scale. We could have paid him around 300, 400,000 again, and we could have got him. That's very interesting to me that he put running back on the list. I would have thought he probably would have left it out given the track record. I agree kind of with the shutdown corner. I agree with having a wide receiver. I find it interesting that Nebraska, we took 3 wide receivers last year: Harley Gilmore, Nyziah Hunter, and of course Dane. We almost took the Wilson guy from Houston. Jonah Wilson ended up going to Texas A&M last second. So that was interesting. The defensive tackle, very last. I don't agree with that. I think defensive tackle should be a lot up there. Again, you see the lack of a big defensive tackle on this team right now. We just don't have somebody who can fill the gaps, whether it's a 0 technique, 1 technique. We really miss Nash. I think it's because Nebraska, we didn't get a big-time defensive tackle. We got Gabe Moore, who's a question mark. We got Jalen George, who really hasn't proven himself. So I think really the way I'd rank it, I'd go quarterback number 1, offensive tackle, pass rusher, defensive tackle number 4. I'd probably go running back number 5. And then after that, I'd go with the skill positions like a corner, like a wide receiver. But I think it's important for Nebraska, particularly in the portal going forward. You got to find your guys in the interior, in the trenches. And then after that, you can fill in the gaps everywhere else. So just kind of want to get your thoughts on that. What do you think about Matt Rhule's ranking? Definitely want to hear what you have to say. Now let's get all to the news. It was just announced that Nebraska has a brand new black shirt on defense, and somebody was demoted because we know that this year for Nebraska, they're not doing 13, 14 black shirts. They said that they're going to change black shirts every single week depending on who's starting. They're going to hand out black shirts, and it was just reported that Williams Nwaneri has earned one. He was seen in the back of a Nebraska media video wearing a black shirt, so it looks like he will start versus Michigan State. That means that one of our current black shirts has probably been demoted, and I don't know who that's going to be. My guess is it's probably Cameron Lenhard, but Williams Nwaneri, expect him to start versus Michigan State. Yeah, I mean, that's a good development. I thought Williams Nwaneri had a really good start to the year. Now, he didn't play very well versus Michigan. Nobody did. He kind of get ate alive in the run game. I compare him a lot to a James Williams in a way. He's definitely a better James Williams, but they're very similar where they're both elite pass rushers, but they kind of get exposed in the run game because they're not very big. They're not very technical. They're not very powerful. Now, Williams obviously has the potential to get above that and be dominant in the run game. I don't think James Williams does, but right now they're kind of on the same playing field. I just bring that up because I love Williams. I love him starting, but he still is a very big concern in the run game, and I think that's why he probably wasn't starting to begin the year. But want to talk about Williams and definitely give him some love because he was a big question mark for me going into the year. He was an X factor of this entire defensive line, and he's played very well, so I'm definitely happy for him. Then talking about my updated expectations for the game tomorrow. I was thinking about this earlier today. We have probably more history with Michigan State of any team in the conference, right? In the Big Ten in particular, since we've joined. We've had some historic battles. I mean, go back to our past couple games. 2023, obviously very close one. Matt Rhule lost to Michigan State. But let's go back to the Mike Riley era, the Bo Pelini era. You go back to 2012 when we played them in East Lansing. Jamal Turner had that touchdown back of the end zone. You go back to 2015 when we knocked off, they were at one point one of the best teams in America. They later made the playoffs. We beat them with Brandon Riley and that touchdown that may or may not have been out of bounds, but we'll talk about that at a later date. We obviously beat them in 2018 in the snow game. Only field goals were scored. So Michigan State, we have a lot of history against them. I think it's going to be a close game. I know I released my prediction video earlier, and I'm not going to spoil what I said in that, so make sure to watch that video. And people were giving me some flack. I'll just give you one spoiler. I think it's going to be a close game. I do predict a Nebraska victory, but I think it's going to be close. And people were saying, Wilson, you have no faith in Nebraska. It's going to be a blowout. We're going to beat them from the very get-go. I'm just not there yet, right? And I believe Nebraska is going to be a very good team this year. I've not wavered on my prediction. I still think Nebraska is going to win, 9 games. I haven't wavered at all. Some people are freaking out after we lost to Michigan saying, oh, we're only going to win 7. We're only going to win 6. Nah, I've always been on 9. But I think my similar points hold true. Nebraska, we start slow after bye weeks. We always sleepwalk going into it. We always have a very tough first quarter, first half. And also Michigan State's a team that has a lot of talent. We have a lot of history against them, and they're waiting for their emergence. They're waiting for their breakout game, very similar to us. And they absolutely know how important this ball game is for their schedule, because if you look at the rest of it, it's not very easy, right? So it's going to be a close game. Now, if Nebraska can go out there and dominate them and blow them out, it gives me a lot of confidence that we could still potentially win 10, 11 games, maybe even upset at Penn State. I know some people think that's ludicrous, but again, that's going to change my mind a lot. But I think it's going to be a close game. We're going to get a stop at the very end of the ball game. That's going to give us confidence going forward that maybe if we're in a close game, versus a USC, versus a Minnesota, versus an Iowa that, okay, we can win it because we did it against Michigan State. So that's kind of my updated prediction. We know it's going to be sloppy, right, with the wind. We know that passing the football is going to be very tough. We're going to be trying to run it down their throat. We'll see what Emmett can do, but I do believe it'll be sloppy, slow, and very, very tight ball game to the very end. Then I want to talk about a change coming to the secondary tomorrow. Now, it was reported by a couple coaches this week, but also talked about by a bunch of Nebraska fans. There expect to be a lot of changes with this DB unit because we know that, of course, Malcolm Hartsock, he likely will be out. Not likely. He will be out tomorrow. They haven't reported it specifically. They said they're going to try him out tomorrow. They're just saying that for game playing purposes. They know that Malcolm Hartsock gets scratched. It also should be mentioned that Marcus Buford, his workload might be going down. He had a really, really poor game versus Michigan. He got benched very early on. So there's going to be some safeties and some corners who get a lot more opportunities. And a couple of names have been thrown out there. Obviously, the normal bunch. Donovan Jones has been thrown out there a lot. Rex Guthrie's been thrown out there a lot. Both those guys are going to get a lot of reps. But there's one guy that I've heard a lot about over these past couple of days that's going to play a lot tomorrow. Caleb Benning. His role is expected to increase significantly, especially with Marcus Buford and his leash being very short. Am I saying that Caleb Benning is going to start tomorrow? No, it's going to still be Buford. But again, let's say Buford stinks up in the running game. He can't tackle like he did versus the Wolverines. They're going to pull the plug, and they're going to put in a guy like Benning who's gave us some pretty good snaps, played decently versus Cincinnati, played pretty well against both Houston Christian and Akron. So again, there's going to be a lot of switching up in the secondary. Yes, it's still number one in America, but is it actually that good? Probably not. And it should be mentioned that Michigan State, of all the things they do well, they can throw the football. They got some threats at wide receiver. So if there's any game where our secondary kind of doesn't live up to right now its ranking, it's probably tomorrow. So just watch out with that, the secondary. Everybody's on a short leash. We're going to get a lot of those depth pieces in there if needed. And then last but not least, I want to have a conversation around Elijah Pritchett because I've seen a lot of chat around him just over these past couple of days, what his role is going to be going forward. Should he play right tackle? Should we kick him into guard? Should he start? Now, I've kind of had the exact same position with him over basically the entire year. I don't think Elijah Pritchett's very good at left tackle. However, I'm willing to put him out at right tackle. I'd honestly be willing to start him versus Michigan State. Because it's clear when he plays at left tackle, he's horrendous. I don't really know why a lot of Nebraska fans think that he's better than Gunnar Gottula at left. That's definitely not the case, right? He stunk it up versus Cincinnati, gave up a sack, gave up 2 false starts. He stunk it up versus Michigan, got pulled almost immediately when he played. Like, Elijah Pritchett's not good at left tackle. That shouldn't be a shock to anybody if you've watched his tape this year, Alabama tape last year, but he's good at right tackle. So I'm done with the left tackle experiment. Let's try him out at right. Now, I'm not maybe calling for him to start tomorrow, but let's put Teddy on a very short leash. We know Michigan State's defensive line, they can't get to the quarterback consistently. So if Teddy's getting beat and Teddy's giving up sacks against this horrific Michigan State D-line, it means he's not good at all. And you got to put in a guy like Elijah. You got to say, okay, Teddy, their career's done, my man. You're a fifth-year guy. You've got banged up time and time again. Might be time for you to hang it up. And we put in a guy like Elijah. So, again, I want to see him at right tackle. I think we will. Dane Holgorsen said there's going to be a lot of shakeups in this offensive line. They're still trying to figure out who their best tackles are and where they should be slotted. But just expect Elijah Pritchett to get some more role at right tackle going forward, which I think is going to be a big adjustment for us and a big move going forward because, simply put, he's not good at left tackle. We don't really have a lot of great players at left tackle, but he's definitely a lot better at right. And I know I'm going to get some questions about it. How come he's bad at left tackle but good at right? Isn't it basically the same thing? Well, no, because you're doing everything opposite. Okay, you're backpedaling with the opposite foot. You're using your hands oppositely. Everything's opposite. So some players can't be swing tackle. Some players can only play right. Some players can only play left. It's clear with me from Elijah Pritchett's history, whether it's at Alabama, high school, he's a better right tackle than he is left. And also, I saw some memes. Everybody saw what Alabama did the other day. When they were playing Georgia, and they had Caden Proctor, who's from Iowa originally. He was a 5-star. Basically, they had a big offensive tackle. They had him take a screen pass and truck over a couple of guys. People wanted Elijah Pritchett to do that. I think that would be pretty funny if we saw that. Is it going to happen? Absolutely not. But if there's any offensive lineman to take a screen pass and truck over some dudes and take it 15, 20 yards, probably Elijah. So, we might see that wrinkle against the Spartans, but probably not. So, all right, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Of course, reminder that we will be live right after the game tomorrow outside Memorial Stadium. So, it'll probably end around 6:30, I'd say. So again, right when the game's over, you know where to be. WilsonDittman Sports. We will be live, hopefully talking about a win, but we'll be live regardless. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. If you made this far, hit that like button and subscribe. Go Big Red, go Rhule, and I will see you tomorrow.